man-manā bhava mad-bhakto mad-yājī mam namaskuru evaiṣyasi satyaṃ te pratijāne priyo me. We are almost now completing Bhagavad Gita, especially in previous verses. Sarvam gruhyatamam bhuyam srunume paramam vachah ishtosi me drudhamiti tato vakshami te hitam. As a teacher, I give you freedom because my job is not to restrict you. Who am I and what for? But the problem is when you have free will to exercise, so there is a possibility that you may abuse or misuse. When you abuse or misuse, definitely you suffer. And when you suffer as a teacher, now I have a problem. So that problem is that I cannot accept it. When somebody suffers, because you have taken surrender, you have taken refuge in me, and when you have taken refuge in me, definitely it's my duty to remind you again. Not I have my problem, but out of compassion. We have seen up to this. That's why Lord Krishna is again reminding. The teaching is being presented very carefully, differently, time to time. After discussing all these aspects, so he thought, okay, now enough summarizing Karma Yoga, that too in 18th chapter 3 times, Jnana Yoga 2 times, enough. Now let me summarize Karma Yoga in one single verse. So this verse number 65 is the summary of Karma Yoga in one single verse. It's very important to understand. So if you look at this verse as it is, of course there will be a lot of confusion. But you need to see the beauty. Man-manā bhava. That means fix the mind on me. This will be the translation. Man-manā bhava, why and how we'll be seeing in details. Mad-bhakto. Be my devotee. mad-yājī. That means do worship me, become my worshipper. Namaskuru mam. So surrender to me. Evaiṣyasi mam eva. Mam eva evaiṣyasi. You shall reach me alone. Satyaṃ pratijāne te. Truly, satyaṃ pratijāne, truly, satyaṃ pratijāne, I promise. So truly I do promise to you, what? Asi me priyo. You are not ordinary person, but you are dear to me. When we see this sort of verse, and of course next verse is more dangerous. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tva sarvapapebhya mokshayishyami ma sucha, which is nothing, again the essence of or summary of Jnana Yoga. We'll see in details. You have to be very careful, these two verses. So it becomes very easy, especially Vaishnavites, those who worship Vishnu. Hey look, Lord Krishna says, only me. That means only Lord Vishnu can protect Lord Krishna can protect, not Lord Shiva, not anybody, okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And these two verses are ultimum, they are teaching, okay? But we need to be very careful, being the essence of Bhagavad Gita, especially Karma Yoga Saraha. Why? Because we have been discussing that Karma Yoga is nothing called Ishvara-centric lifestyle. We have been discussing this very carefully, okay? That means active lifestyle with Ishvara or God in center. So that means I live an active life for what? To contribute to the society, not to take from the society. Because if I take small thing from society, if I am important than the society, if my needs are more important than the society, that means I am not a karma yogi. So that means I live an active lifestyle to contribute the society where God is in center. Suppose if we look at what is Jnana Yoga. So the essence of Jnana Yoga would be withdrawn lifestyle. There is active lifestyle. Here is withdrawn, knowledge-centered lifestyle. There is Ishvara-centered. Here is knowledge-centered. There is active. Here is withdrawn. Now, when we look at this, now we can look at this verse very carefully. It says, look, to this man-manā bhava, that to develop a religious life. We have discussed all these things, nothing new. One need to have Ishvara. Without Ishvara, can you have a religious life? Impossible. But also it's being said, along with Ishvara, means the prayer, we say that you need to do swadhyaya called Brahma Yajna. That means the prayerful life with daily studying scripture is called Karma Yoga, a religious life. If you say, no, only I pray Lord, it's not complete. That's why every religion, every religious people do listen to the sermons at least. So at least on Sundays or different days, different ways, they listen to it. Because this is a part, prayerful life and studying scripture. So here he says that study the scripture, the Bhagavad Gita being the context, Bhagavad Gita being the essence of Veda. So you need to study every day. It's not mere parayana repetition, but dwelling upon, trying to understand the meaning, sometime or other to be done. Because a karma yogi, especially a person who lives a religious life, has to spend some time in prayer, especially in morning hours. You cannot say, no, I am busy. When I become free, God can wait. My child has to go to the school. Only after sending my child to school, I will take care of puja. Many people in India, they do it. And you will discover that person will be attached to the child. When the child goes away or kicks, you know what will happen. So the God, or spending some time God, whatever time you decide in the morning hours is a must. Why? What is the purpose? Number one, consistency. If I decide time, morning 7 o'clock, every day I have to do puja at 7. Not 8, 9, 10, 11, no. According to my convenience, no. Because when I start doing, this is called consistency. Through that, I start resonating myself. That resonance happens in such a way that I am charged whole day. That's why the puja, the prayer is must. Because only through the prayer, I try to make my thinking process on a proper track. And of course, the studying scripture. That's why long back we have discussed, without leading a religious lifestyle, one should not come to Vedanta. It doesn't work. Yes, there are some exceptional cases, but don't bring exceptional cases as rule. And if you think you are exception, then don't quote either. Why all these things happens? Then you can see, when you do puja, when there is a prayerful life, you consider God as your companion. So when you consider God as your companion, then you look at, you have hundreds of goals, hundreds of work, in that also God's puja. I have to take care of my family, I have to do this, I have to do that. Also I have to lead the lamp also. Especially in the home, you should see how each one cries, okay? And I remember, like, wherever there is saligram, puja is being done. So saligram cannot wait. So you have to do everyday puja. Especially grandparents, when they go away, there will be fight in the home. Who is going to do puja? You cannot think of. So we are not interested when are you going to come back, means so that puja will be maintained. So coming back, so God is companion. I have hundreds of goals, thousands of goals. In that also, you are part of it. We call that person as a manda mumukshu. And as you start doing these two things, what are the two things? One is prayer, other one is studying scripture. From manda mumukshu, you become madhyama mumukshu. So you start improving. What is that? Middle one. Where you consider not that God is one of the goal or companion, but that is becomes topmost goal. You have 100 goals, but God is first priority. So you get up, first God comes to your mind. If child has to go to the school, no problem. I have to take care of the child. Let me get up little early. Because I cannot make God to wait. I take care of God first, because my first priority. Then after God, I can do whatever I want. So when God becomes first priority, that time I am a madhyama mumukshu. Then slowly, as you keep doing, you will discover that Ishvaraha will be the goal. The moksha is goal and Ishvara is moksha. So when you see that Ishvara is a goal, moksha is goal, that means you become uttama mumukshu. Now, when this happens, because of this, development, you lead a religious life systematically. That's why he uses this word, man-manā bhava. Keep me in your mind, live a God-centric lifestyle. That means at any given time, I don't forget God. Then comes mad-bhakto bhava. Become my devotee. So when he says, become my devotee, may you develop devotion towards me. We have seen earlier you were looking at me as a companion. Later on, I become one of your goal. Because of that reason, you started loving me. Then slowly, I become topmost goal in your life. And finally, I become only goal of your life. So when I become only goal in your life, then what happens? This is what he says, mad-bhakto bhava. May you become my devotee. And of course says, mad-yājī bhava. This is a beautiful point to observe. May you worship me. So when he says worshipping, as you know, worshipping is a way of worshipping is a way of disciplined life. Because always we look at worship is an art of disciplining oneself. In worship there is prayer, but always we have the attitude of surrender. Also, in worshipping, we need to spend some time the cleanness, rearranging my thoughts myself. I cannot worship the way I want. It's like if you want to receive a person who is most important in your life, only the important in your life, how will you receive that person? So, while getting up the bed without washing your face, will you come and meet? Like, all this honey comes, okay? Then after that, what happens? Honey. So, honey becomes amara, bitter, okay? It doesn't work. Here he says very carefully, the worship or the worshipping is divided into two parts. One is direct worship, other one is indirect worship. Both has to be there. So what is direct worship? People say, no. Direct worship is a very gross. Swamiji, that is not my cup of tea. Please. The moment you say that is not my cup of tea, that means really it is your cup of tea, okay? So first thing, in direct worship, there is God, there is a process, whether you know or not. That minimum thing, like the best example goes to Shavari, one of the tribal lady. She was told that one day Lord Rama will come to see you. And this old lady every day was cleaning her place and every day was collecting berries for Lord Rama to eat, where to sit, what to do, everything. So every day we'll do waiting for Rama. So evening doesn't come, no problem. We'll throw everything. Again next day we'll do the same thing. Then finally Lord Rama arrived at her place and ate the berries. Do you know what are the berries Rama ate? First she ate and gave, because she wanted to taste whether berries are sour or good or not. She will eat half, then she will keep. Okay, if it is good one, give. If it's bad one, throw it. Lord Rama ate that. Look at this. This is called direct worship. Also indirect worship. What is indirect worship? So indirect worship means making your life worshipful. Every karma that you do, that is worship, like Shavari. For that lady, tribal lady Shavari, that sweeping or plucking the berries, keeping them in the right place, was worship. So both direct and indirect. That's why she never get frustrated. In your case, what happens? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Basta, enough. And she did years together. That's why we need to see that when I implement or I adopt both direct and indirect worship, then only I see a growth in me. And of course, then he says, namaskuru. May you surrender unto me. Because many people don't do namaskar. They put on their ego. So I remember one boy is here. So the first day he came. So now slowly he's bending down, but still you can see the reluctance. I said, okay, don't worry, go away. I enjoy when he does, I just observe, watch him. Because some type of ego arrogance. Maybe even the small child, small boy, but that cultural input has not been given. And of course, if you grown up, if you don't have cultural input, and if you don't develop, it will never come. And some cases, it comes according to the condition. I notice, like, some people, they say me very nicely, Swamiji, what is wrong in sitting, keeping one leg after another? What is wrong in it? I said, okay, suppose you happen to sit in front with your, let us say, president of your country or topmost officials. Will you sit that way? Definitely not. Unless you are acquainted, okay? There are some people. Of course, psychological problem you have, that's another point. Because you want to hide something, you are not comfortable. The moment you start putting one leg after another, that means you don't have courage to meet the front person. You are not prepared to meet. There is some psychological issue. Anytime you see, the moment leg comes another, top of the another leg, that means you are out. And of course then restless. That means you know better. Leg sex, hand sex, this sex, that sex, everything. Because these are the body language one has to understand. That's why he says, namaskuru, may you surrender unto me. So that means when you surrender, that means one good thing happens. You don't rob with your ego. Because in any relationship, you have a problem. Why? What is that problem? That problem is not relationship. That problem is your ego. Now you need a shock absorber. And what could be the best shock absorber in a relationship? That is Ishvara. So when Ishvara is the shock absorber, and that is your goal, then what happens? You bend down. You surrender. As you surrender when you see some benefit in front of you, like a child. I remember long back, I had a very bad, let us say, teenage, end, towards the end, when I was 18, 19-year-old boy. So I used to put a challenge with everybody, especially small boys. And I'll put a challenge with their mothers and father, everybody. I'll bring some chocolates, I'll say, look, I'll make your child to remove all the pant, shirt, everything, completely naked in front of everybody. And some of the stupid parents, especially mother, no chance, my child will not do it. I said, let us take the challenge. And I gave one chocolate, two chocolates, then finally, if the fellow doesn't bother, give to others. Once you start giving to others, that fellow will get restless. Then finally, look, if you remove, then a fellow will remove one after another. Then if you remove everything, you will get everything, or else I am going to give it away. And you will discover, child will, because that some ego has come up, okay? Ego means, some type of self-thinking. Ego is nothing. You have got some self-thinking. So, you observe a child. What sort of self-thinking child has? I am son of so-and-so. I am grandchild of so-and-so. I belong to this family. This, that, all these things. But if an ordinary child who does not have that much strong self-thinking, will be very nice. So your ego is nothing. You have got some self-image, self-thinking about yourself. Whether it's right or wrong, don't ask, okay? So then give the whole chocolate. Now one side greed, other side self-thinking. Self-image. What the child will do? The childishness will take over. Self-image will go somewhere. and will child remove everything, take the chocolate and run away. You all are laughing. Look at yourself also. Same thing you do. When you compare your benefit and your image, and when you discover that benefit is more important than my image, do you bend down or not? So in which way you are better than that child? So that is not a surrender. So here he says that, ma'am, namaskuru. May you surrender unto me without looking at benefit. But you look at me because in life there is failure, will be failure. In your life you lose many things. In your life you will come across different type of challenges. And you surrender to me so that I am your shock absorber. I don't allow your ego to become strong and create more and more problem. That's why he says, look, man evaiṣyasi. You will reach the goal, and which is nothing myself, called moksha. So that means not directly upwards through jnana yoga. And he says, this is satyaṃ, means definitely. There is no here and there. Because why? Aham pratijāne. I am promising you. Because when I see the transformation in you, definitely I promise. So aham pratijāne. So it is not promising for the sake of promise just to please you, because I see some changes in you. So that means what? He says, look, when I promise, that means when you live a karma yoga lifestyle, Ishvara-centric lifestyle, which includes prayer and regular study, definitely I am there with you. This is the essence of this verse and karma yoga. We will see the next verse, which is a more controversial verse, and we have to be very careful in the next verse. Please. Om